A year ago there was nothing here. No beds, no equipment, no staff. This is what Covid has brought to the 15th floor at the Royal London. 120 new intensive care beds, all full, all of the time.
Yeah. Seems to be affecting people in really different ways, and also affecting people that you wouldn't think were going to be affected, if that makes sense. These stronger nurses, and they're crying in the storeroom in their PPE, and it's not. Yeah.
Yes, and I think that's part of the shock. I mean, I've been in ITU for 16 years and I've been a nurse for 23 years, and I thought I was quite cynical, quite hardened, seen it all, done it all. But yeah, no, something like this happens, and in a way that's reassuring. That reassures me, because I think, well, if you get emotional, then that's good. I'm not as cynical and hardened as I thought I was after 23 years, and I think that's a good thing. But it's pretty crazy, and yeah, it is pretty crazy and unprecedented.
Lockdown's hard for everyone, and I feel like all I talk about anyway, and other nurses, we're talking about how hard it is in there, but we're in lockdown too, so we also haven't seen our families for months, and yeah. They're worried. They do worry about me. I'm a grown adult, but I'm still their daughter, and they still check on me all the time. They wish I wasn't here.
There are Covid patients on every level. 2 floors down on 13E, what was a cardiac and respiratory ward, now changed to intensive care.
I'm okay. I have a patient who's probably going to reach end of life soon. So it's quite distressing watching them and their families. It is difficult. I mean, to be honest, you feel numb. We have 5 patients on our ward that are reaching end of life. You know, having to be there to hold their hands while they go. You know, sometimes families don't make it in time, and you're with them while they slip away. So it is traumatizing. It's very difficult.
It's been pretty grim the last week or so. Just patients coming in extremely unwell, and there's been a lot of breaking bad news. Patients are very slow to get better, and a lot of patients are unfortunately getting a lot worse.
It's been absolutely terrible. It's a real struggle right now. I think in March, everyone had the naivety of not knowing what it was going to be like, and also the adrenaline. People, had the adrenaline to carry them through it, and you never imagined, a year later that we'd still be in this terrible situation. So sustaining people now is part of that. It's the hardest part, because they were tired in the first place, and many haven't been able to see their families. They've had they've hardly had any breaks, any holidays, and it's just been relentless.
49-year-old Oliver, a dialysis nurse at the Royal Free Hospital, has been here for 3 weeks after he and his wife caught Covid.
I thought I'm not going to make it. As you can see, I'm still catching my breath. When my wife got sick first, she got Covid. And I have 3 children. So when she got sick, I have to look after her.
3, 2, 5 miles down the road is the Royal London sister hospital, the much smaller but equally busy Newham General.
It's a very small hospital, and it's a local hospital, and sometimes we've been treating our own staff, our colleagues and families, which is it's very close to home situation, and that's a big challenge for us.
They did have 7 intensive care beds here. There are now 21 spreading across the hospital.
This area that we're in was designed as a medical ward, not as an intensive care unit. So the patients are much tighter together than you would like. The environment is far from ideal. It's a struggle for the nurses. It's not great in terms of experience for the patients, and it puts a lot of extra pressure on what we do. But it's what we've got, so we've had to really make the most of what's available to us.
Upstairs, they're finding more space for the growing number of patients.
So this is where we are currently set up for ITU here in recovery. This used to be the recovery unit, but now we have converted it into ITU.
It's pressured and it's asking a lot of staff.
I would say, it's quite distressing, daunting at times. We do have debriefing time, you know, especially when occasions like the death of someone or a patient that's not, you know, doing well. Working in a pandemic on the front line, it's always bit, you know. I mean, as a nurse coming in, I'm probably sure that we all worry every day that we're going to be the next one in the bed. We're going to be the next one probably, you know, passing on.
Many of the patients here have jobs where they come into contact with a lot of people. Teachers, ambulance staff, shop workers and indeed bus drivers like Douglas.
A lot better than I was. Been in here 3 weeks now. I get very anxious because when I go to sleep, every day is a completely new day. I don't know where I am. You know, it's really worse on my mind than it is on my body.
Back at the Royal London in Whitechapel, more PPE is being delivered. A big pile for a still huge task.
So you can go through a 12-hour shift feeling apprehensive, scared, frustrated, angry, and then euphoric at the end of it and on a real high. And you can do all of that in 12 hours.
I'm glad I'm part of it, and every day I come in I feel like I'm doing my bit to sort of move it out the way, to end it. Doesn't feel like I'm getting anywhere at the moment, but that's how I try to face each day, each shift.
I'm inspired by all my colleagues actually. You know, I come in and I see an army of men and women coming into the hospital and another army leaving the hospital, and you know, if they can do it, so can I.